Hello. Today I will be giving you an unexpected update for my tri-stack bow build. I call it the Exodia build because I believe it is using all the most broken mechanics in the game to get a big DPS number, and also it is pretty tanky. It's unexpected because I thought GGG would come out with patch notes today or tomorrow, but it looks like that is being pushed off. So I did not know if I could farm up the 400 to 500 divines I needed to switch to an Adorn setup, but I did. Breach is pretty good for farming currency, so I will show you the updated build with an Adorn setup. Previously, if you want more details about the build and or where it is on a cheaper budget, even though it's still expensive, I will link those in the description. I don't want to go over what I previously covered. But previously, I had just over 1,000,000 DPS standing still on my lightning arrow and I think like 5.4k HP. That has since increased, and once again, I underestimated the amount of upgrades the build could have, which I've undershot it multiple times. Whenever I think something's a 20% upgrade, it ends up being a 30% upgrade, and that is no different from this update. So, I went from 1,000,000 DPS standing still to close to 1.6. So previously I thought an Adorn would give me 30 to 40% damage. It is currently giving me close to 60% damage, and my Adorn setup isn't perfect, as I will show now. So, here's my passive tree. I have a 93% Adorn, and you want a 93% Adorn if you have 14% quiver bonus, like this jewel. So, basically, what I'm doing is every single jewel that I have quiver bonus. That's basically mandatory, and then an implicit of stats because I'm a stat stacker. And then this is being multiplied by the 93%. So this 14 is going up to 27, and then the 4 is going up to 7, and then the 10 is going up to 19. And most people are going for this specific stat allocation on jewels, but I don't really like the attack speed on this. So since this build gets attack speeds from a ton of different sources, I really don't need any more attack speed or want any more attack speed. I currently attack at like 9.5 times a second, and I think I have like 700 to 800% increased attack speed or something. So this 7 attack speed, when multiplied by the Adorn, really doesn't do much. Like if I had attack speed on all my 9 or 10 jewels or whatever I have, uh, this would be like 5% damage, which I don't really want 5% damage. I rather have something else. And that something else is something like this. So I only have one Chaos Resist out of all my other jewels. All the other ones have implicit of stats, but I need the Chaos Resist. But that's not the stat that I'm looking at. The stat that I actually want on all my jewels is life recovery from flasks. So since this build has a lot of life, and it doesn't really have a ton of life recovery when bossing, I want this stat because, again, it's multiplied by a lot, and if I had it on every single one of my jewels, then my life flask would do 300% more healing. And since the Oriath's flask is really good, as it gives you the full life amount instantly, and any amount that is over your full life is put as a shield. And it also is maybe bugged, in which if you have a shield and you still have full life, you can still use it and it refreshes the shield that you have at max value. So currently, I don't have a perfect Adorn setup. I think 5 of my jewels do not have this life recovery from flasks, and also some of my jewels don't have a high roll. This is 14%, but some of them get pretty low. This is 12. I think I have like a 9 or something. But if everything was perfect, then my flask would heal me for like 4,000, or give me a shield for 4,000. Currently, it's like 2.6. So when mapping, this is up the whole time, basically, if I want it to be. If I press it once every 10 seconds or whatever, and don't take damage. So instead of actually having 5.8k life, I actually have an 8k life pool. So I'm very tanky, even though some people accuse me of just tunneling into DPS numbers and big number tooltip. That's actually not the case. So the math behind my jewels I will show now. So this is my current setup. I have a 93% Adorn. If you have a bunch of 15 quiver bonus, you will need a 94 Adorn, which costs a lot. But as I will show, if I wanted to upgrade this build, I will need a 94 Adorn. But this is my current setup. These are currently all my jewels. These miscellaneous ones, I don't have attack speed and I don't have flask. They're just a bunch of random stats. I just got them for cheap because they had good implicit and they had high quiver bonus. And so from my jewels, I get 277 quiver bonus, 80 from the tree, which is right here, and I have a 296 Widow Hail, which multiplied out is 653, and I want it to be over like in the hundreds or in the 50s because this multiplies out my proj level on my quiver. So I'm basically, this quiver is being multiplied by 650% on top of the quiver giving the stats of 100%. So whatever stats are shown on here, I get 750% of them. And this is a mirror quiver. It's the best one on the market. If you want to mirror it, come mirror it. The only stat that's not perfect is dexterity, but that really doesn't matter because we have too much dexterity anyway. In a perfect world, this build would its lowest stat would be dexterity, but that's currently not the case for me because of my ring. I haven't found a better ring that has intellect instead of dexterity, but if I were to switch that out, on top of all the attribute multipliers and on top of the bonus that I get from my belt, this 33 dex is actually like 100 something dex. So my dex would fall to 900, and then my intellect would go up to 1,000 if I switch that out and I got a better ring. So hopefully in the future that's what I do. But that's just to say this quiver is basically perfect. Like by far my worst stat is dexterity, and so if it's off by 7 dexterity, it really doesn't matter. But people don't understand that since this is being multiplied by 750, the flat damage that I get, actually the flat damage on this quiver is equivalent in damage to the flat damage that I get from Hand of Wisdom in action. So everyone's saying that this item's broken OP. It is broken OP, but my quiver is equivalently broken as OP as these gloves. And then obviously the bow skills is being multiplied by a lot, so that's a bunch of increased damage. Proj speed is getting converted to increased damage because of this node, so that gives a lot. And then the proj skills being multiplied by a lot, and that's why I have a level 35 lightning arrow. And then attack speed, again, I have too much attack speed. This attack speed, it's fine, but I mean, it's obviously the best suffix that you can get. No other suffix gives damage, so it's the best, but it doesn't like increase the build damage by like a ton, which it still increases the build damage by like 100,000, but yeah, it's not as much as the other affixes on the quiver. So that is my current setup. If I were to upgrade this build, then I would need a 94 Dorn, and then I would need quiver bonuses of 15 on all my things, and then I would need a new Widow Hail of 301, and that would give me 700. So if I were to do this, all these stats on my quiver I would get again, because I would get another 50 quiver bonus, well, 50% of it, and then also this proj skill I would get another +1. So instead of a level 35, I would have a level 36. And then another upgrade that I can get is that I could corrupt this from a 20 to a 21, and then I would have a level 37 lightning arrow. And then there's other upgrades that I could get. I could get like I don't even know how much this goes to, like 98% or 95%, 95% belt. I could get a 305 Widow Hail. I could get a corrupted ring, maybe a better ring, a corrupted amulet. There's upgrades to do, but currently, again, sitting in hideout, I have 1.6 million tooltip, and then when I drop my banner, as I talk about in my previous videos, that goes up to 2.7 million DPS tooltip. It's actually way more than that in real life, or when I'm killing bosses. But that is pretty good. Again, if you want to see more details about this build, you can go in the description and look at them. But this is, again, my bossing setup, and I'm still using my mapping setup as I switch out for double heralds this helmet so I can use really good supports for my double heralds, and then when I'm mapping, I want rarity, so I switch out my rings for rarity. And then I switch out my Against the Darkness for more cold damage so that I can shatter with my heralds. And I also switch out supports for my lightning arrow. But again, if you want more detail, go in the description. So that is the update for the build. I will make another estimate, which I have underestimated it, again, 5 or 4 times in a row now. But if I were to have perfect gear, as I said, if I were to have a perfect Adorn, perfect Jewels, which would be attack speed, if I had perfect gear, my tooltip would definitely be over 2 million. And also, if you wanted it to go even higher, you can swap out strength on the tree for dex. I still have 2 things of strength, and then again, if I were to want more damage, then this strength would be intellect, and so it would be an intellect dex ring, which would be a lot more damage. So, my final estimate, maybe this will be proven by POB, but I believe you can sit in your hideout and have close to probably a 2.5 million tooltip lightning arrow, and then with banner dropped, that's another 70%. So, whatever that number is, 4 million tooltip lightning arrow. So, if that seems good to you, you should play the build, and we will look for the patch notes to see if it gets nerfed. If you have any questions, put them in the comments and I'll get to them. Thanks.